rank outsiders. The longest odds in bledisloe history, the Wallabies, just a week after being schooled at home for the second straight year, came within collecting a kick restart of pulling off what would have been the greatest upset in Australian rugby history. Not a soul in Australia gave the Wallabies a hope in hell of winning across the ditch. Any optimism of Australia pulling off its first win against the All Blacks in New Zealand since 2001 had vanished following its inept display at the Olympic Stadium a week earlier. In the prelude to the bledisloe rematch, there was just a speck of gold at the Shoots Shield final in Sydney, where some 20,000 packed North Sydney Oval to watch Northern Suburbs and Warringah go at it for the title. Hardly a word was whispered by anyone about the bledisloe clash. Read more cheika's whining is becoming boringly routine. Read more cheika blows up after bledisloe heartbreaker. Disenfranchised about what was occurring at the top tier of the game, the rugby community was embracing the grassroots of the game and, at the same time, sending an emphatic message to the game's admiration that they are the beating heart of the game in Australia. But the Wallabies earned a mountain of respect for playing their part in what was one of the most captivating and frenetic bledisloe clashes we've witnessed in recent memory. Despite losing 3,529, as Beauden Barrett, the playmaker who sunk the Wallabies at the World Cup less than 2 years earlier with a lick try, dived underneath the posts with less than 3 minutes left in the match to score the match winner, their performance was one to be proud of. One that the thousands gathered on the North Sydney Hill would have been proud of. Here are 5 things we learnt from the Wallabies' gallant performance in the deep south of New Zealand. Michael Cheika is the best man to lead Australian rugby back to the top. Source AAPTRUST and CHEIKAs is the modern way. When a team isn't getting the results on the field, the coach is often the first to cop the blame. But the Wallabies and Australian rugby needs Michael Cheika. It is true that help's made more than the odd selection decision that's raised your eyebrow, but time and time again he gets the best out of his players. Given the performance in the first bledisloe test and the criticism that followed, it wouldn't have been difficult to get the Wallabies mentally up for the rematch. But the accuracy in which they played with, the never-surrender attitude that they defended with, particularly in the second half where they were confronted with a barrage of assaults, and the skill that they showed under fatigue was testament to cheika's coaching methods. The Australian coach is not everyone's cup of tea. Even after their impressive display in Dunedin, Cheika wasn't pleased with some of the officiating of the game. To many he's a whinger, who complains when things don't go his way. But he had every right to question some of the decisions out on the field. How Brodie Retallick wasn't penalised for carelessly dumping Ned Hannigan on his head was staggering. Retallick may not have meant to do so, but the incident was off the ball and the same strict officiating should have been applied for if it was a runner chasing a high kick that collides and takes out the catcher in the air under the high ball and places them in a dangerous position. Equally, Nigel Owens' decision to reverse a no-con decision late in the first half and award a scrum penalty to the All Blacks, after touch judge Wayne Barnes suggested that the Wallabies had collapsed the scrum, was highly unusual. The two incidences continued a theme of the All Blacks being awarded controversial decisions under Owens, after a clear try to Henry Spate was reversed during last year's third bledisloe test in Auckland. Kick restarts continue to plague Wallabies. It's been a problematic area in the past, but never has the kick restart proved so costly for the Wallabies. With Australia leading with 3 minutes left in Dunedin, the Wallabies needed to secure possession, play field position and wind down the clock to secure victory. Instead, All Blacks captain Kieran Reid rose above Isaac Rodder and fell out to force the error, even if he himself got a fingertip on the ball, which was, again, missed by officials. The lost opportunity continued the Wallabies' woes underneath the high ball, where they secured possession 3 times from 6 kickoffs. The Wallabies failed to take a kick restart, which led to the All Blacks' final try. Source Fox Sports Israel Folau and Isaac Rodder clash into each other attempting to field a Lima Sopoaga kick restart. Source Getty Images. While on a 4th occasion, the ball was spilt but picked up off the turf by Beale. The Wallabies aren't the only international side struggling to deal with the kickoffs, but clearly more thought and practice needs to go into securing possession. In the instance of the Wallabies spilling the ball at the death from Lima Sopoaga's kickoff, there were 5 Australians in the vicinity of the ball. Both Folau and Rodder leapt for the ball and the duo collided. But had the Wallabies lifted Rodder in the air, rather than him jumping in the air, he would have been higher in the air and would have received protection from Sean McMahon and, therefore, likely prevented Kieran Reid applying the same amount of pressure on the catcher as he did. Bernard Foley has a difficult night at the office with the kicking duties. Source: Getty Images. Missed shots at goal haunt Wallabies. To stats reveal that the Wallabies left 9 points on the park. 1 penalty strike and 2 conversion attempts hit the posts, while another conversion was stabbed past the goals. Would they have won had Bernard Foley knocked them over like Beauden Barrett did? Possibly, but we'll never know. Foley's inaccurate kicking meant that his kicking success rate for the year in international rugby dropped to 71%, 5 points below his overall kicking percentage. To put that in perspective, Barrett has been kicking at 83%, while Northern Hemisphere kickers Owen Farrell 80, Finn Russell 83, Greg Laidlaw 83, Lee Halfpenny 89, Camille Lopez 89 and Paddy Jackson 96 are all above 80% in 2017. Kurtley Beale reacts after scoring late in the second Bledisloe test. Source: Getty Images. The complete package. I have said it before and will say it again. Kurtley Beale was the player the Wallabies missed most in 2016, despite playing off the bench in 2015. As Matt Giteau wore the number 12 jersey, Beale was one of Australia's top 5 players throughout the year and at the World Cup. His injury proved devastating for the Waratahs and Wallabies in 2016 as neither side recovered. Once again, the Waratahs in 2017 were a shadow of the team that they were when Beale was in it. English club side Wasps benefited from his Super Rugby departure and made the final, but were pipped by Exeter for the title, with Beale sitting in the stands after injuring his hamstring in the semi-final. Unlike the Beale of the past, who too regularly gave away possession cheaply, the 28-year-old is now close to the complete package. He probes the line regularly and puts doubt in the opposition line. His kicking has improved out of sight and his defence is now satisfactory for a test playmaker. On Saturday he did that and more. Rieko Ioane was the All Blacks' most dangerous player in the second Bledisloe test. Source: Getty Images. Ioane the real deal. Australia, brace yourself. Rieko Ioane is going to inflict a lot of damage on Australian teams over the next decade. Ioane doesn't do things slowly. It was only 18 months ago that Ioane sprinted down the left-hand touchline in front of a packed Sydney football stadium to deny Australia of its first World Series Sevens tour stage win since 2012, it wasn't long before he was regularly starting for the Blues in Super Rugby, and by season's end he was an All Black. In June, the 20-year-old was picked to start against the Lions and justified his selection by scoring twice in the first test. 2 more tries followed in the opening Bledisloe test, where he showed up Israel Folau by stepping past the classy fullback to score when he shouldn't have got close to the line. But he produced his finest game in an All Blacks jersey over the weekend, where he was head and shoulders the best New Zealand player on the field. Ioane made a match-high 168 metres in attack, which included 3 line breaks, 10 tackle busts and 1 try. His half-break in the lead-up to the All Blacks' final try also proved decisive, as it got the home side over the advantage line and the Wallabies on the back foot.